we don't have to watch the entirety of this.
Okay.
But
so this is a guy breaking down why he doesn't like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
What's going on, man?
Man,
good to see you.
Thanks.
On September 6, 2019, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Who's this YouTuber?
Have you considered?
By the way.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
While this commercial plays, we'll give this guy some credit.
Glidget Ronin.
Okay.
To Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. What was intended to be a civil conversation turned out to be a playground for Neil deGrasse Tyson's inflated ego and a blatant demonstration of his superiority complex. What you are about to watch is an analysis and breakdown of just how the superiority complex leaks through even when the transgressor makes utmost attempts to keep it concealed.
Scientist, we've concluded that humans are catastrophically warming the Earth. Response, that conflicts with what I want to be true, so it must be false.
Well,
that is the cherry picking of science.
It is the cherry picking of science, but the global warming thing is very much connected to a certain type of ideology. A certain type of person who thinks of themselves.
It doesn't matter to me.
No nonsense. A person who thinks of themselves.
It doesn't matter to me.
No nonsense.
This is the first time in the interview that we see just where Neil deGrasse Tyson believes he stands with Joe. When Joe Rogan questions him for the first time in the interview, we see Neil say, "It doesn't matter to me," while looking upwards to the left. By looking up to the left while saying, "It doesn't matter to me,"
all right, now I'm going to stop this right here real quick.
Go ahead.
So this... you can believe in body language analysis and whatnot, or you can question it. That's fine.
It's interesting.
I've looked into it for years.
I think it's one of those things that's not an exact science.
Exactly, because some people are wired differently.
Can give you indications and stuff.
But there are ocular cues that you can follow where you can sort of. This is CIA shit too. They do this to tell if somebody's lying or fabricating a story or remembering a story. There's all this, but it's not.
Even your friendly cop on the beat knows these helpful ocular pattern tricks, indications.
Yeah. But what I do like is that he is identifying an obvious a reaction that Neil deGrasse Tyson is having for just simply, and I wouldn't even say Joe Rogan's questioning him there. I would say he's just putting out another, you know what I mean?
He's suggesting there's a political aspect to the
climate change discussion. But we don't. So
what you think is less important than what I think. We often see this gesture in young, spoiled children who don't get what they want, or people who have newfounded power and often pull the "do this because I said so" card. This is a very confrontational way to deal with things, and we see the confrontational tension in the rigid movements in Neil's head and neck while making this statement.
A person who thinks of themselves.
It doesn't matter to me.
No nonsense person.
What I'm saying, yes, it does matter. What I'm trying to say is that is a demographic that has cherry picked science to deny human-caused global warming.
Person,
what I'm saying, yes, it does matter.
What raises the red flag is how drastically different his emotions are, and how fast he tries to cover himself up after letting his true self show. It seems that Neil.
Yeah, he does get kind of worked up like a little kid for no reason.
Right? It's like, okay, wait a minute. All right.
Before.
And I think that's like
immediately correct himself and say, yes,
it
does matter.
That's like the energy.
He has his persona back on, but unfortunately,
we could be up.
He let his true self show.
Yeah, that's the energy that a lot of us probably picked up on that don't really like him. Is like
that's what I'm saying. Is so. The eye movements don't care. That doesn't matter. But this little breakdown that this guy did, it started identifying like, oh, that's what I don't like about him, right? And I saw this a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, okay, because I have been really getting annoyed by him.
Yeah,
he's been on Rogan a few times, and that's what it is, though. It is any questioning of his stance on anything is an immediate like outbreak, like this.
Yeah, he doesn't seem real receptive to conversation a lot of times.
Yeah, and
like everybody that doesn't immediately believe the mainstream scientific
or just
narrative or his opinion,
his take on something
is just like, well, it's
you're an idiot.
It's just
it's just this. So, and that's to me that is not a very professional or very scientific. Way of acting.
So I would get why, and just devil's advocate here. I would get why, like, if you really did dedicate your life to studying a certain thing, but you're constantly, it's a topic that people like. I used to. Side note, I used to know a guy who was like the safety technician at Argonne. And
Okay.
when they would, this is like a nuclear laboratory,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, yeah,
Or
it
I
is.
think they did whatever. For whatever reason, they had to be safely disposing nuclear waste, right?
Yeah.
And so they would have
And
to
that's
have
Sam Britton's department.
Yeah, that's who's on the case. Ooh, see what I did there? On the case, he stole a suitcase.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So he would tell me that as the like lead safety technician or whatever, they would have to have meetings with the public where the public could come in and voice their concerns on the disposal of the nuclear
Oh, I'm
waste.
sure it was infuriating.
So he's been spending his entire life knowing about this, and he has to have like fucking Judy from down the
Yeah.
street come in and be like, I heard about fucking
Yeah.
photons like a few weeks ago.
Am I being poisoned?
I'm
He's
like, yeah.
no. It's securely in a lead
And he has to
vault
like
and,
explain complex science to
the
people who are just
reason
they don't.
lead ions are
Yeah.
yeah.
So I always thought that was hilarious, but
So I do understand that, but I mean,
Yeah.
hey, if you're going to take the position of the public fucking science guy,
Yeah.
get used to it, buddy.
get used to it, Hitler.
used- so-
yeah,
Now, flash forward, he was on a podcast called the PBD Podcast, hosted by Patrick Bet David, who I've talked about on this podcast before. We've discussed him a little bit. And he is a very successful businessman, but he was a military, an army guy from Syria.
that's what they say. At
That's
least
what they say.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love his podcast. It's a great podcast. But this is an exchange between them, and we can just you'll see what I'm getting at here.
Okay, between him and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
let me just bring
And you're
that.
telling me this,
Beginning of COVID
this guy's
to
no
what
dummy.
we know today. What do we know about the vaccine today that we didn't know while we were all testing it in America, taking it? What have we learned now?
What do you mean testing it on America? There were tests before it was released.
9 months is not a long time to test.
No, but it was tested.
Yeah, but 9 months. The average is 30. The average is 5 to 10 years. I mean, 9 months is not enough.
Okay, so you have to say
test.
no. You have to ask. Hold on. It was tested
Seem to
on
get worked up.
in trials. Okay. By the way, I'm not claiming to be the expert on all this. I read all the same things you have, but I'm a scientist, so I read it as a scientist. Okay.
Now, that's my first problem.
It's like an appeal to authority.
Yeah,
It's like
transparent appeal to. I'm a scientist. You can't understand the easy data,
Which is
and
just-
I read it differently than you.
something that more and more as we go on has been well established as like a fallacy in debate.
Yeah.
Is
It's
just
appeal to authority.
yeah, man. Like
Or
your argument should
expertise,
stand
right?
on its own merits.
Yes,
you know,
the
basically.
argument has to just
Yeah.
not be "I'm a scientist, listen to me." It has to be. It has to be okay. This is why the data means this. But we already saw. He was like he was already getting worked up and starting to flail his hands a bit. You know what I mean? He just So
There were trials. That's what the point of phase 1, 2, 3 trials are all about. They are tested enough to get data on how to then advise the larger population. Yes, it was tested. For you to say it wasn't tested is a gap between your awareness and understanding how things work and what actually happened. It was tested. If you want it to be tested on millions of people instead of thousands, you can put in for that. You can say, I don't want this unless it's millions. That's okay.
Totally fine with me.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
But
So based on that, do you say, let's keep testing it while the virus keeps spreading? Okay? Right. So this is the contest between the information you have available to you at that moment and what's going on outside the lab. People are dying. Hospitals are becoming overloaded. So, do you say we have good data on the 1,000? It's not yet at 1 million in case you wanted 1 million. Are you going to say, let's still do it on another, let's wait another 6 months so we get another 1 million in here? Will you do that as a public health professional?
No, I would have said allow the individual to still have a choice that's okay.
okay. Now, what we know of this is one of my big problems with both of these guys, and we're going to watch Sam Harris in a minute. Now, he's still sticking to this point that hospitals were being overrun. Now, do you recall what was going on actually? They were building triage units and hospitals because they thought there was going to be this overflow. They spent all this money on these, and they never were used. Remember this? They
Yeah.
sat idle for the entire time,
There's a lot
and
of-
then were
A lot
disassembled.
of weird stuff.
So there were like a few places in New York where it turns out they were sending infected people back into nursing homes, which was upping their infection levels. But outside of that, they really didn't have like the inability to look back and say, yeah, maybe that was wrong. But it's not that ability seems to be lost on certain people once they're in this position of being just ass-kissed by the public for so long.
Yeah.
This is what it seems like. It seems like...
And you have to double down on your original...
Yeah, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
That's the thing. That's the problem.
I think a lot more people would like you if you didn't.
Yeah, and also believe you, because this just loses credibility for you, going forward. And I just don't understand. But his talking down to him and his acting like, let me explain it to you like an idiot. You know what I mean? This guy's not an idiot. And he's being very civil. And he is not being... It seems like he's being very pointed in this conversation. And for not really any reason. We're already where we are in this whole pandemic thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't... So... We'll just watch a little more of this.
I'm still really confused about a lot of stuff that happened during that whole thing. Just like, I mean, I was at the hospital more than a few times during that entire thing. And I got to say, there was always parking.
Yeah. No, I had friends that were nurses and they were like, we barely have
in the halls. You didn't see like a bunch of people fucking having a...
Well, do you remember what actually happened is people that should have just been going to the hospital for other things aside from COVID stopped going to the hospital. We all had to stay at our house.
But then again, I also anecdotally, knew somebody that worked at the local hospital that said it was pretty fucking crazy at times. But I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the numbers are pretty straightforward, though, if we go to look back. And that's... The problem with this is that Patrick Bet-David is bringing up the actual data from the CDC, and he is bringing up a bunch of hypotheticals.
Yeah,
and that's
because he's like a Sagittarius. And
Pluto.
He's a Sagittarius on Pluto, as far as I understand it. Yeah,
and he can tell you the weight of Pluto.
Yeah. Sometime we gotta look back on them again because we didn't even get to the astrology stuff.
No, we didn't. Yeah. No, we did. All right. First of all, look at his fucking face. He looks like he's pouting already.
Yeah, he does.
He does look like he's pouting.
I like that somebody's doing an analysis of him too. Like I want to watch that whole thing at some point. Because, it's pretty clear now that it's kind of been exposed. Sometimes somebody will point something out about somebody.
Yeah, and then it's like
it's all you can see. Yeah,
exactly.
Now he does behave like a brat. It really does look that way.
Well, this is the problem: is when you've been in this position of everyone just believing you forever, being questioned probably hurts.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I mean, hey,
Yeah, it's pretty simple psychology, I think. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. All right.
Leave the person have the choice. Not force him to take it or else you're going to get out of the Marines, and you've been doing this for 14 years. Not force him to take it or else you have to quit your job as a nurse.
There's a public health
force versus
there's a
choice.
There's a public health contract.
Now, here's where we get into something.
Okay, how about this, asshole? You weigh like fucking 270 pounds. Like, you want to talk about fucking public health shit? Like, how many more people does obesity and heart disease kill than this stupid thing? What are you fucking talking about?
But also, listen to his take on this.
There's a public health contract that you have signed.
No.
When?
No.
When?
Idiot.
When?
I signed the Declaration of Food Independence in Baraboo, Wisconsin in 2012, but I don't recall signing that document, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Implicitly, as a citizen of a country where in part we depend on each other for health, our wealth, our security, and the like.
Okay, so he says we signed a contract. And then you see him, his wheels turning, and then he goes...
How do I make this make sense?
Implicitly.
Yeah.
And you could. This is what I'm saying is if you watch him here,
the social contract argument,
it's idiotic. What are you talking about?
This is fucking like second level debate stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
This is where his intellectual prowess seems to start crumbling in my mind.
If Jon Stewart doesn't have me on and suck my dick, I don't know what to do. Basically,
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah. But you can. His whole thing is like it's as if he's making it up the whole time. And he's just trying to, here, well, what's this?
It's a little Manson-esque,
that contract is in the best scientific evidence available at the time. If you do not get vaccinated, you will put other people in this organization at risk, and that organization does not want to take that risk. So you do not have this job anymore if you decline it.
Yeah, we understand the argument. Like,
with any public health decision, there has to be a consequence to you not participating in that social contract. Is it your job? In some cases, it was. But no, we're not going to have the army bust into your home and force a needle into your shoulder.
But okay, why not? I signed a contract. If it's a public health fucking thing, then why not? What with your own logic here?
Why don't you send your legal team after me?
Yeah, using that logic, why not have the army bust in and put it in your shoulder?
If it's that imperative, if it's
just losing a job, well, then it doesn't seem like it's that fucking. You know what I mean? It seemed more politicized to me rather than imperative.
But that was that whole kind of long rambling thing. I mean, I know what it looks like when a guy's making shit up.
Exactly,
we do it every fucking week.
Yes.
Like, what do you think's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, when you're just trying to come up with the next thing to say, you're like
buying time and also, sort of word salading around to get it. Oh wait, I know.
Then he basically constructs the most fucking obvious kind of just summing up of the basic argument
that already was sort of.
Do you think you're explaining to this fucking guy? Well, you see, the idea is,
that's what we were told.
Putting someone at and like the guy's gonna go, oh fuck, see, I thought, oh dude,
okay, then okay, cool, next subject.
I didn't get that. You say they can pass this thing? Oh fuck, I didn't hear about that.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, come on.
That's not going to happen.
We pretty much did that.
Well, only put your job at risk, yes.
Yeah, 67% of Americans took the COVID. That's force. That's not a choice. That's a lot of force and coercing and pushing going on. But you can't go to the school unless you're vaccinated against mumps. I think that's bullshit.
That's a different country.
Yeah. But
okay, would you want a country?
No, America is supposed to be the one that offers the most freedom. That's what America is supposed to be.
Yeah, okay, so watch.
So for example, if you use that argument, somebody may say, well, freedom of choice, I want to choose.
But we get the idea, right? So let's go on to this gentleman here.
And the theme here is, I believe, just societally touted intellectuals kind of being strikingly non-intellectual in their refusal to rethink their position sometimes, right?
Yeah, the scientific method seems to go out and this sort of just fucking listen to me.
Like everybody has their political line with that, it seems like, where, I can be a really nuanced thinker.
Unless
unless
you don't listen to me.
Unless there's a flu that kills almost nobody that gets it.
Yeah.
And that really gets me.
Okay, so this is another public intellectual. And Sam Harris, I actually had a lot more respect for. But he's been up to some fucking shenanigans lately.
Yeah, you were always a big fan of this guy.
Yeah, I mean, his philosophy, he's a very deep thinker. He really is. But this is what my point is now we're seeing that even the deepest thinkers can be just captured ideologically and be susceptible to the same sort of personality traits that any other idiot can be in that.
Oh, sure, they're not so different.
Yeah. And so he was before this, he was in an interview, and I didn't feel like we had to play this one because this one's more, the one that I'm going to play is more in line with what we're talking about right now. But he had once, just maybe last month or the month before, was talking about the Hunter Biden laptop and how he still stood behind the fact that Twitter, had been shown to have suppressed that completely in all kinds of social media, and that the government was telling them to do that. And he was saying, I am not for censorship, but I am for censorship in this case because Trump was too dangerous to have him elected. So basically he was saying, I am good with fixing an election. And at one point he said, I wouldn't have cared if it was proven that Hunter Biden had the bodies of dead children in his basement. It was still too dangerous to let Trump be elected. Right?
Yeah.
So that was something that everyone was like, what the fuck is Sam Harris talking about here? And so This one is
Yeah,
an
sort
even more exemplary.
Logically inconsistent, to say the least. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, when you expose yourself as having that type of blind allegiance, then how can you claim any credibility in any intellectual realm anymore?
Yeah,
I
why
don't
should
think
anyone
anyone trust you?
Exactly.
You know,
why should anybody give a fuck what you say anymore?
Yeah.
You've proven yourself. Now, this one I thought was
according
the
to
most
us, there's probably like 12 people in the country that qualify as smart. We're just-
two of us are
this is a bunch of sour
two of
pusses.
us are them.
Like, no, nobody's smart.
Yeah, idiots.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a listen to Sam Harris here on whatever the fuck.
Take it back to COVID for a second. In one way, we got very lucky that COVID wasn't worse than it was, right? You know, it could have been much, much worse. It could have been 10 times as deadly or you know,
Let's
50
just
times as deadly.
suppose,
Yeah,
not for nothing, but let's just make up a scenario
Let's pretend.
where it was 100. Why not a million
what if
times?
everybody
worse?
died
Why
from it?
not? How about what if the world just all of a sudden exploded for no reason?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, exactly. So here, I'm going to pull this back because this is, dude, it's exactly what he does. It's so fucking bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Let me make sure everyone can see this. Yeah. So,
It could have been so
COVID
much
for a
worse.
second. In one way, we got very lucky that COVID wasn't worse than it was, right? You know, it could have been much, much worse. It could have been 10 times as deadly.
okay. Yes. So far, we did get lucky that it wasn't 10 times as deadly. Yep.
I feel pretty lucky with most earthquakes, tsunamis, and tornadoes that have happened also.
Yeah. Not destroying the actual planet.
I mean, there have been a few tornadoes that I thought might take off and just take out a third of the country.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, but so far,
luckily,
but what he said is on its face, it is true. We did get lucky with that. Okay,
that was a fucking that was a real spot of luck.
Or, you know, 50 times as deadly, and we would have lived through, or many of us wouldn't have lived through something truly awful. But had COVID been worse, you know, just enough worse to really get our attention, to really be undeniable, we would have had a different political conversation around it.
That right there,
Yeah.
to really have gotten our attention. First of all, that's the only thing anybody talked about for
Yeah,
2.5
for two
fucking
fucking
years.
years. We
And
were in
then
our house.
Political? What are you fucking nuts? It took over every single
It was
aspect
everything.
of life.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, like a good healthy percentage of people weren't even remotely concerned about it, but still couldn't stop fucking talking
Yeah.
about it. And
it was literally, I remember how many times you would be like, I'm so sick of talking about this, but dude, you see what they just did with this new mask thing? It was like there was nothing else to fucking talk about because nothing else was going on.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what in the
Like, it
fuck?
would have gotten our attention?
He wants more political attachment
Attention,
to it
yeah.
and more attention in society.
Yeah,
That's
it gets better.
okay.
We would have had a different political conversation around it. There wouldn't have been the same kind of vaccine skepticism. Brett Weinstein would not have been releasing 80 straight podcasts on the dangers of the vaccine if a few variables were changed. I mean, just take that.
This
Leave
is
COVID
fucking-
exactly as it is, but just make it preferentially dangerous to children rather than to old people.
What a
Right?
psycho.
Just flip that around, the variable of age. If kids were dying by the hundreds of thousands from COVID at a rate of whatever it was, 1%, say. But if it was pretty much all kids, we would have had a very different experience.
Can I tell you something? If George Soros said this, it would be all over InfoWars everywhere. It would be fucking, look, the Illuminati's telling you the fucking plan. They're like,
next.
look, if we...
We fucked up. We only killed old people.
Right, yeah.
But also, shit, dude. Yeah, if it was killing 100,000 kids instead of old, sick people in their 90s and 80s, yes, it would have been different, but it wasn't.
An obese, compromised,
So, yes, you
whatever
would have
the
been
fuck,
right in that scenario, but hey, it's not that scenario, and it wasn't. So you were wrong.
Right,
That's
yeah.
the fucking point. Yes, if you change variables and change the actual situation, then you were right.
Back off.
But that's it. But it wasn't. Like, what
No.
the fuck are you talking about? Like, how dumb do you have to fucking be to make this argument?
No, it's absurd, and it's it's clearly just self-serving and weird, and it sounds like a threat. It sounds like, if it would be a shame. It'd be nice.
Maybe next time.
It's a nice society you got here. It'd be a shame if somebody fucking pandemic'd it. And he's like, next time, maybe we'll tweak it to be a little scarier.
Maybe we'll change a few of the variables.
And I like that absent from the argument completely is the possibility that maybe there was backlash against some of your fucking policies and your desires because actually it wasn't that dangerous as you were worried.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't include that aspect of the argument at all, which is like possibly, he's just like, dude, if it was worse, there wouldn't have been all this. Listen to how convoluted and weird that is. If it would have been worse, there wouldn't have been this backlash to the mandatory vaccines and whatever. But what about the fact that then they were right?
Yeah. Okay.
So everybody's fine. Exactly. And everything's fine.
Hold on. And we don't have to listen to this whole thing, but this next part's even
right. And the patience that there would have been no fucking patience for vaccine skepticism, right? And everyone would have recognized that this is not my body, my choice. This is you're not going to kill my kids with your ignorance.
Wait, I love that he got the "my body, my choice" thing, which is obviously refers to abortion. Usually, he goes, "You're not going to kill my kids,
idiot." Fucking fool.
What a great thing to say.
He changes one more variable though,
and you change one other variable. What if the vaccines actually really did block transmission?
Hey, but they didn't.
They didn't. His whole thing. His whole thing is just a sci-fi scenario.
Let's say this. Let's say the pandemic was 50 times more deadly, and it was killing almost exclusively kids, and the vaccine did block 100% of transmission.
Yeah.
Well, then I would have been right.
And also,
well, no shit,
a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, you can literally extrapolate to there's no argument. What the fuck are you talking about? Just say you were wrong and move on.
Zero. It's craftily done because the sort of just slack-jawed intelligentsia types are going to hear that and go like
exactly. See, I know. Yeah. Did you hear what Sam Harris? He destroyed him.
He's very calm in an unassuming location.
Oh,
this guy's no frills.
Yeah, dude. So basically, that's the end of my my taking any of anything that motherfucker says seriously,
it's
or
absurd.
Neil deGrasse Tyson seriously. They just look. You've been ideologically captured to a point where you cannot escape.
Yeah.
I don't care if you pretend now that I saw the light. I was wrong. I don't give a fuck. You did it. Now I know you'll do it. You know what I'm saying? The fact that, so this is another thing. At one point he goes, then if that variable's changed, then Brett Weinstein wouldn't have been putting 80 straight things about the dangers of vaccines out. Yeah, but guess what? He turned out to be fucking right.
And also,
his data was correct.
Also, I'm never going to forget about when every fucking person, like a lot of people I was surprised about, because I was always just like, dude, it's just, you don't need that. It's fucking, it's stupid, whatever. And not even from the conspiracy angle so much. It's just like, this whole thing reeks of some kind of bullshit. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what exactly is going on here, but I'm not getting that thing. And so, a lot of people that really surprised me got it, and and then like, what was it, 3-4 months later, every single fucking person in the world had COVID.
Yeah, everyone got COVID right after they got vaccinated. It was
people
insane.
Were like, well, the vaccine probably made it easier. Like, I was sick for one day. I knew people that were vaccinated that were sick for a week. Like, okay, that's anecdotal, sure, whatever.
It's anecdotal, but it's anecdotal across the board. So what the fuck are we saying? Anecdotal is still information.
Right.
Like, there is a certain, most science was originally done anecdotally, and some of it was wrong, but you can't tell me that, it's only anecdotal that this is going to fall down because you've never measured the thing. Oh, it did, but that's only anecdotal. No, it's fucking, I saw it, though. It happened.
Spoken like a real Capricorn. You're out of control.
All right. But yeah, this is my basic point. Fuck these two.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've basically disqualified themselves for any other.
No, and also people need to be shaken out of their trance sometimes. Of these are just the assumed intellectuals. If you actually think about a lot of this stuff, they're no better than a lot of other people. It's not. You don't need to be listening to everything they.
I mean, say, look, a lot of the shit that Sam Harris has talked about in the past, he's very deep, and when he's talking about abstract concepts and what is truth. How do you get to the truth? What is the core of epistemic truth and things like this? Yeah, then I can. But this and his political, his delusional fucking hatred of Donald Trump having skewed him into these depths. I can't. This
is why I can't imagine
insane,
people not having just kind of I don't give a fuck what any of them do anymore. I haven't for years. I can't believe most people haven't gotten there where it's you need to shield yourself from this fucking. If you get too emotionally wrapped up in this, you're going to go insane.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good point.
Don't stop trying to make sense out of what's going on and what the fuck. Just get with Gen Z and let's fucking make some progress here.
Hello, you're on with Tom and Vinny. What's up?
Hey, everybody. The word of the day is anecdotal, and everybody gets a free mustache. Just wait for your mailbox.
Oh, boy. All right. And on that note,
where we at? We're almost to the third hour, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's fine. The first one took a little bit. Let's take our break now. We'll read some of these comments when we get back.
Or do you want me to? I can read a couple while you're pulling up the break stuff.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
So let's see. All right. Going to the Super Spreader Army for some comments. We always like to do this, include everybody. Let's see. We got, Jesus, this is the worst argument for the vax I've seen. That's from Connie. Thank God for the people that weren't fooled by this crap. Also, Connie. That's right. You're tuning in to Radioville Population Truth.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the type of info you get here. Luke Villarreal just says no T-bone. No cap T-bone. Sorry, I didn't see the cap. Okay, no cap T-bone. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, maybe they all got money to keep saying this crap. I don't know. Who the fuck knows how deep it goes?
At one point,
I could see the motives being all different types of shit, to be honest. And I could see there being different people at the heart of it. I really don't fucking care enough. I don't know how much longer I'm going to live. I don't want to focus on this shit all the time.
I didn't get the jab, so I'm probably fucked. Or
so we'll probably live forever.